We turn now to Sebastian Gorka. He not only has an absolutely ridiculous name, but a ridiculous approach to the world, especially when it comes to Islam. He is one of the most out-and-out Islamophobic people that I know of, especially one who was a close advisor to Donald Trump and now is being beamed into houses all over the country thanks to Sinclair. And joining us now to break down Sebastian Gorka, his philosophy, and his impact is Deputy Editorial Director for Media Matters for America, Pam Vogel. Pam, welcome to the Damage Report.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Very glad to have you here. I very much appreciated your write-up about Sebastian Gorka, which is available for people to read at the Media Matters website. So tell us about Sebastian Gorka for people who might not know who that is. Who is he and what is he out there doing?
Well, I think you kind of summed it up pretty well in your introduction. He's one of the most virulently anti-Islam voices in right-wing media, and he's also a complete grifter. So he, as you mentioned, was very briefly part of the Trump administration, and he essentially left after a few months and parlayed that into a series of media contracts. So until recently, he was a Fox News contributor, where his title was technically national security strategist, but he was often brought on to just talk about whatever the news of the day was, regardless of whether it had anything to do nominally with national security. And now he is no longer with Fox News, but he is working he has a new radio show on Salem that is nationally broadcast, and he is now officially a contributor at Sinclair Broadcast Group. So he is showing up in national news packages that they are running on their stations across the country. He has hosted some special programs that have run on Sinclair-controlled stations. And he has really just started to make that official, which I think is indicative of the potential grift factor here, because it's pretty uncommon for Fox News contributors to have contracts with other media outlets. But he was on Sinclair long before any of this was made official, while he was still under contract at Fox.
So we know that the Sinclair has like their terrorism watch desk where they try to scare the hell out of people across the country. Now that he's on Sinclair, that his stuff is going out, and that gets to a lot of different Americans. If someone is tuning in and they're like Sebastian Gorka is being beamed into their face, what are the sorts of things that he's talking about? What are these segments about?
Right. And I think that's a really important note, because this is definitely part of a pattern of Sinclair's willingness to more than flirt with just completely overt xenophobia and especially anti-Islam rhetoric. Not just those terrorism alert desk segments, which I watched a whole year of them, all of 2017.
Oh my God.
And it was really remarkable how much it essentially relies on the tropes of propaganda. It's repetition, and it's making especially older viewers or viewers who don't have access to as many other news outlets absolutely terrified out of their minds of imminent terror attacks happening in their neighborhoods in, Ohio or wherever. So now that Gorka is showing up on Sinclair, he is doing a combo of what he was doing at Fox, which is just giving random sound bites in their news packages, whether or not they're about national security stories. Some have been about, for example, there was a recent segment he was in just yesterday, actually, this is brand new, where they asked him for comments about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's critique of the New Deal and how it promoted racist redlining policies. It had absolutely nothing to do with anything he even purports to be an expert at. And then these special programs, he's hosted at least 2 that have run on Sinclair stations. Those are a little bit more shady because they're produced by an outside organization, but they're only airing on Sinclair stations. And one that aired about a year ago was called The Clash of Cultures, and it was all about, quote unquote, rise of terrorism. And he talked about, whether or not Islam and Western ideals could ever be, let's see if I have the right word here. I want to make sure I get it right because the quote is extremely upsetting. We talk about if they could ever be reconciled and the difference between Western ideals and so-called Islamic ideals. He talks about Sharia law all of the time. Mm-hmm. And this particular must-run segment, or not must-run segment, but a whole special program that ran on tons of stations, showed a bunch of B-roll of people holding signs that said things like rape-fugees instead of refugees. So we're seeing a taste of what he's capable of injecting into local news.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's a great preview, a trailer for what he's going to be bringing to Sinclair. So I want to thank you for doing this analysis, joining us on the show. I do want to apologize that you had to watch so many of these segments. You're probably like 2 to 5% less mentally stable as a result of that, but we do appreciate you and the rest of Media Matters doing this very important work. We always appreciate the work that you guys do.
Of course, we watch it so you hopefully don't have to.
Thank you. And I will try not to. Pam Vogel, thank you for joining us on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching this clip from The Damage Report. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell on YouTube to get notifications of our new videos. And of course, you can catch the full Damage Report live every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on TYT Network on YouTube TV.